Let's look. I sent an email earlier. Let's take a look.
It's just you and I tonight, huh?
I know for a fact Savannah's going to be in here, and like everybody should else be in here. I sent that link to everybody,
Hmm.
so
Maybe it just takes some time for everyone to get notified.
I'm okay with that. Even if it's you, like I'm okay with that too.
There we go. Not gonna complain.
It's been
But
it's
I think my mom's gonna join though.
yeah, like running a master class has been very interesting because people come and go as they please. And
Yeah.
definitely thought that, everybody would come in the beginning and like want to stay the whole time, but knowing that they get the recordings and like have access to that, like I feel like I don't know. It's just been interesting because there's
But
been a
it's good. Yeah, you want the flexibility. But maybe it should be one of those things where they pay extra for the recording or um
Mhm. You're thinking like if
yeah,
there's
just make it more of a hey, if you can't commit to the whole time. I mean, you want people to come. It just gives them the flexibility, which is great.
Ooh, we have people joining though. We have Savannah and Naya. So we're not alone anymore.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
So I'll give everyone like 2 more minutes just in case they had trouble finding that link. But we're going to dive into it tonight. I promise we're going to get out on time. That's my promise. I know that it's been like 9 o'clock, so people get sleepy, myself included. So I'm always real with you guys. I promise that much. So for the next couple of minutes, are there any questions over the last couple of days that have came up that maybe we can answer real quick?
I don't have any.
I got to send you the recordings next Tuesday for the money and the subconscious.
Yeah, I was listening to it, but I was definitely distracted last night. So,
That makes sense. I know why.
yeah.
So let's do this. Let's go ahead. And I feel like everyone's cameras are off at the moment. So that's perfectly wonderful. We're just going to do a little grounding exercise together. And it's going to be different from the meditation that we saw the first 2 days. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute some people's mics because there we go. Wonderful. That way we can be very present, very much here. And if you have your piece of paper with you or your journal or however you've been taking notes on your phone, what I want you to take for a moment is just this gathering of your thoughts. I want you to make sure that you're sitting upright, that you're not laying down. Feel free to shut your eyes for a moment. It's getting late. So maybe there's been, some sleepiness come into your day if it's been a long day. And I want you to kind of correlate where your breath is at currently. Do you feel like you're breathing very shallow? Or can you feel your breath all the way down to your belly? Are you like sleepy and it's a very heavy type of breath? And I don't want you to try to control it or change it. I just want you to kind of acknowledge it for just a moment. And this is the moment I want to invite you back into that concept of radical acceptance. If you remember, radical acceptance was about accepting every single part of ourselves. The good things that we want to highlight, maybe the things that we try to hide from others to make ourselves look good. Maybe it's where we want to go in life and we want to project ourselves into the future. Or maybe it's about our past and we kind of want to run away from some of the parts of our past. Or we want to run back to the past because there was happy moments there. And as we invite this concept of radical acceptance into our mindset right now, I want you to transfer that into that great question that we've been kind of dancing around over the last few days. And that question is, who am I? And when you're asking yourself, who am I? How do you answer it? Do you label it? You come up with names. I'm a daughter. I'm a wife. I'm a business owner. I'm a student. Or do you come up with adjectives? I'm shy. I'm loud. I am beautiful. Or do you try to come up with something entirely different? And as you're breathing still, I want you to really take 3 long breaths, thinking about the who am I. And as you breathe, I want you to straighten up your back and breathe in through your nose as much as possible. And then out through your mouth. And you can sigh. You may make a noise, or it might sound a little bit like the ocean. And when you're ready, I want your breath to return to normal. That radical acceptance is here. There's nothing wrong. There's no expectation. It's just, who are you? So when you're ready, gently open your eyes back up. And immediately, I want you to look at your paper and grab your pen. And I want you to write down, when I asked you, who am I? What came to your mind? And there's no rush. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. All right. So I'm not going to ask anyone to say who they are unless they just feel led to, but I am curious. Did anybody have any trouble answering this? Or did anybody feel like it just came very easy to them?
I think I got a little stuck. I wrote a lot when when I brain dump, but then I'm like, okay, now what else? Because it doesn't feel like it's enough.
Mm. So I want you to add that to your paper that doesn't feel like it's enough. And then I want you to put a line through that. Just strike it out. Because I want us to remember that for you, but I also don't want that to be part of your reality. Is there anyone else that wants to share for a moment? Okay, no worries. I have loved being able to spend the last 3 days with you guys. It's been one of those journeys where I hope I've been able to connect with you guys a little bit deeper. Some of you all I've been able to talk to outside of class and be able to like answer questions, and I'm bringing that into tonight's class. That way, questions that somebody came up with, I'm sure somebody else has as well. So I've incorporated a lot more into these final lessons for us. And tonight is a class where on paper, it sounds kind of like, intriguing, a little bit, quote unquote, naughty or mysterious. And it was the attraction and seduction class. And a lot of this is going to set you up to attracting your goals. But before we can even have that alluring, mysterious, almost Angelina Jolie type of energy to our field, we have to actually have a lot of hard talks with ourselves. And we have to overcome some things, maybe some negative belief systems, maybe some trauma. Maybe it's just getting really to the heart of the matter of like, who am I and who do I want to become next? And I want to invite you all to really have an open mind to this concept and to have an invitation to yourself. There's going to be some moments where you might get tense up, or you're going to want to write it down and you're going to want to inquire on that. Just like Amanda was brave enough to say it didn't feel like it was enough, I want you to write down these thoughts, because these thoughts are not negative. I reminded everybody yesterday that there are no good emotions and there are no bad emotions. There are just emotions. And when something doesn't feel safe or something feels icky, this is the ability for our subconscious to say, hey, pay attention. I'm trying to help you. I'm your best friend. And if we're willing to listen, this is how we can start to really move forward in healing our trauma and attracting our goals. So we're going to dive into the first lesson here. And can anyone tell me, can you see my screen when it says overcoming the past?
Yes.
All right. Hi, Janelle. I see that voice. I'm starting to know everyone's voices very well. So
Good.
overcoming the past. So this is our first lesson. I'm going to go ahead and I pre-recorded these just because my voice has been a little bit sore from all of the chatter the last few days, but you guys are going to be happy about this. And of course, I'm still here for afterwards when we divulge into the activities. So let's get started. All right, everyone, Air here. Welcome to the third and final day of the Polarity Masterclass. I am so proud that you decided to join me on this journey, that you decided that you are done with the past self and that you wanted to reform yourself to be able to accomplish your goals and attract in the type of energy and manifestations that you deserve. Now, I'm going to get very serious for just a little while, and I'm going to talk about the past. Because 9 times out of 10, what's really keeping us from accomplishing our goals, being in the present moment, and looking forward to the future has everything to do with overcoming our past. And I will take it 100% in my own accountability on if you can capture this, if you can tackle this, if you will bear with me through this, I have overcome the most horrific type of situations throughout my life. And I am here and I am proclaiming to you that you can overcome anything. You can reset your mind. You can reprogram your subconscious. You can utilize the law of attraction to be able to get everything you want out of life.
Amen.
So here we go. Our learning objectives for this segment is to understand how you have shaped your reality. Now, we have to be super accountable here, and you might want to be a little bit resistant to this. And I understand. You're probably going to be like, Air, a lot of things have happened to me, and thus I didn't deserve those. And that's why I believe this happened to me. I believe in this value. I believe in this behavior. This is the way I act, the way I act. I invite you just for a few minutes to bear with me, because again, my story is a really harsh story, but I had to take full accountability of my thought processes and my behavior and how I was going to move forward to be able to do everything that I've been able to accomplish, including surviving and thriving. So our second learning objective here is to really get into defining the who am I. Now, those of you all that follow me on the podcast, you definitely understand we explore this concept every single day. And in every single episode, I am learning more about the who I am with experts and celebrities and authors. And we are always divulging a little bit more information about the great who I am. And this particular lesson is to go further in that and really start the foundation of figuring out who am I. And our final learning objective here is to start applying the art of self-worth. That self-worth, your self-concept, how you view yourself is going to be super important whenever it comes to overcoming the past. So with that, we do have some key takeaways. You're going to recognize these terms. They've been in other lessons. They come back around. And that's because these are the things that are going to get us there faster. So we have that radical acceptance. We have attracting a new reality. We have the polarity manifestation equation. And then finally, getting in alignment with a new frequency. So who am I? The great question. So most of us, if you are anything like me, we can spend our lives trying to fit inside the box of what others tell us we should be. Most of the time we get labeled as something, a wife, a mother, a coworker, a business owner, a human trafficking survivor, an author, you name it. We get all these labels: shy, sweet, tall, skinny, fat. And these labels are so violent. That is one of the key things I always say when I'm speaking on stage is labels are violence. And we really need to get away from that, because the who am I is unlabeled. We morph these values of our family and our culture and our identity. And instead of listening to all of this noise, I want to start inviting us to be like, hey, who the fuck are you? In a very self-talk type of way. Instead of asking everyone else how we should show up in the world, I want you to start asking yourself how you're showing up in this world. So let's get into completing this relationship concept. So this is the last lesson when it comes to our interpersonal. So it's the fourth lesson. Everything else had to do about our goals and relationships with either people or situations. that this is our last one about ourselves. So tune in, because at the end of the day, I want you to be able to heal the relationship with yourself, even if you don't get to step 2 or step 3. This is going to be the foundational work. So let's complete your relationship. We remembered from yesterday that the money is energy concept. I want you to ignore that for right now. It's going to come up in a couple of slides. But for now, we're going to focus on your interpersonal, what's important to you. So the key points here, the who am I activity. On day 1, we introduced the I am, and I told you to fill in the blank. Now it's day 3. We're doing a whole different level of who am I activity. I want you to start thinking about who you are going to be in your new reality. I no longer want you to start writing things like, who am I? I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a XYZ, unless that is what you're trying to become. Because my current reality, as I'm recording this episode, is I am single. I am not a mother. So these things, whenever I'm talking about the great who am I want you to start thinking of it in the future tense. And then I'm going to take another layer into it, because again, we're incorporating the subconscious from yesterday. It's the only person in this entire planet that the subconscious believes in is yourself. And those labels are going to be violent and damaging. So instead of saying, I am a wife or I am a mother, even if it's in the future context, I want you to start inviting the energy of what it means to be those things. I am currently in a loving relationship. And no matter what you say at any point in your life, that should be true. Because if you are currently in a loving relationship, that makes your subconscious feel safe. It is validated because it is truth. Because at the end of the day, you should be in a loving relationship with yourself. And that goes back to that polarity manifestation equation under the allowance section. We were talking about resonance, the law of resonance. Be what you are every single day, and you will naturally attract any manifestation or any goal that you're bringing into your reality. This is going to require that you really challenge your ego, because your ego is here to protect you. Your ego incorporates your subconscious. It's part of that id. If you remember, we talked about Freud a little bit, and I want to bring in a new scientist called Carl Jung. And Carl Jung really brings in these interpersonal concepts that we've been able to talk about over the last few days. And he is one of the resources and one of the major scientists when it comes to the law of attraction and physics. So with that, I want you to start challenging your ego, challenge the belief systems that you currently have, challenge those negative thoughts, challenge your limitations, and challenge your fears. And remember that fear was one of the biggest things under resistance that keeps you from your goals. And at the end of the day, there are 6 major fears, but there is one that goes above all of the others, and that is the fear of death. And honestly, everyone's going to die. So if we start challenging our ego, we can start to challenge the fear of death. And the fear of death is not only a physical reality, but it's also a reality for our ego. And it's going to cause us to slow down our goals and slow down our manifestations. So I invite you to start challenging that fear, start reducing that resistance. That way we can really get to where we want to go. Next, embracing the shadow. Remember, lesson number 2 was called radical acceptance. And radical acceptance does not just mean accepting the good things about yourself. It does not just mean accepting the good things about other people. It's recognizing, again, that the subconscious only knows you. And when you are annoyed with somebody else, that is your shadow acting out and telling you something that you need to heal within yourself. And when you are rejecting yourself, remember, self-rejection was under resistance. That is going to keep you from accomplishing your goals. So we really want to start playing in the dark a little bit here and embracing our shadow, embracing every single thing about your personality and your identity as it is currently, because that is going to give you the foundation to actually see the reality of your picture and decide if there's something that you would like to see change. And again, if you are working towards a manifestation goal, if you have the entire equation, if you have all of the pieces of the puzzle, you can actually see the picture. Versus if you are ignoring half of the puzzle or half the pieces, you are definitely not going to complete your entire jigsaw puzzle. So this last little concept of this complete your relationship, I want you to think about the people pleasing aspect. We're going to go into something and it's going to be a little bit intense and it's going to make you feel a little icky. And I'm doing that with you because I want to do it in a very loving way as the person that's on your team, as the person that believes in you. And I want you to feel how it feels to truly radically accept yourself. And part of that means we have to let go of people pleasing. We have to let go of what people think we should be and start being what we know we are. Now, let's get right into it. There's this radical acceptance. You've heard me say it over and over and over. Radical acceptance. It means without a doubt, I'm taking it all, I'm bringing it all in, and I'm accepting it all. That way I can see what I can play with, get the whole clay of mold. And part of this that's really going to center you and take you very, very seriously is when you start to think of the question, how many summers do you have left? How many summers do you have left? A lot of us think of how much time do we have left? And none of us know. And sometimes we can kind of take that a little bit arbitrarily and be like, okay, well, I got plenty of time, especially if we're really young. But when you start counting how many summers you actually have left, and as you do get older, you realize how quickly years come by, you start to really have this somber moment of living for yourself, going after your goals. So radical acceptance comes in a few more different ways that we did not see in our previous lesson, because in this lesson, we are overcoming trauma and the past. So radical acceptance is resistance in acceptance. So if you are going to increase the speed of your goals, you're going to have to accept your past. Even if it's ugly, even if you never want to talk about it again in public, even if you never want to talk about it or think about it, I just need you to have a heart-to-heart moment of saying, it happened, I'm okay, I am safe, I am moving forward. Remember, I've been through the ringer. I guarantee that there is something in your life that you also don't like to think about, that you thought you messed up, or you thought someone betrayed you, or you were abused or lied to, or in a toxic relationship. But you have to accept that, because if you start to accept that, you are increasing the allowance toward your goals. And if your goal is to heal and attract the life you want, you have to do this. It's going to cause a roadblock, as if there is cones in the driveway to where you can't get out until you do this. It is something I cannot do for you. It is something I have to invite you to do. And when you're ready to do it and walk up to the line, I promise you, I will hold your hand across the line. That is why we have the trauma masterclass. That is why you can work with me one-to-one on this. You can do this, but you have to accept reality. Next, what you do and tolerate in others is a sign of yourself. Think of the most annoying person you know in your life, and think about why they are so annoying. Remember how I told you that your subconscious does not believe in anyone else on this planet except for you. This means your subconscious doesn't feel safe in this particular area, which means we have to take some accountability in this area and figure out what's causing the fear or the rejection or the negative thoughts. And we need to do some work together. We need to uncover what's causing that. And can we reframe that together to make it a positive? That can be a little hard to do on your own, but replay everything I just told you and write it out, or just book an appointment with one of our specialists and we will walk you through it. Because when you are tolerating, as we learned in our second lesson on radical acceptance, you are bringing negative emotions into your reality, and that is always going to slow down your goals. All right, next is something that we haven't been able to touch on too much, but where do you feel it? Our body knows how to talk to our subconscious more than we do on a conscious to subconscious level. When you are feeling pain in your body, when you are feeling nervous, when you have an ache, when you have a crink in your knee or a headache, this is a sign of your subconscious trying to tell you something is wrong in your body. Now, remember, we also have the unconscious. The unconscious is what's responsible for the automatic sensations in our body, such as our heartbeat. So these are our interconnected wavelengths, our consciousness to our conscious to our subconscious. So we really want to start identifying where we feel these emotions physically. Now, dissociation from true self. This can be something we can learn to use whenever we are disassociating from our emotions. This is not a permanent fix. I'll repeat this. Disassociation from your true self, what you're feeling, is not a permanent fix. But what it does allow is it brings in equanimity to be able to understand how we can control our emotions long enough to process them. This is something for survivors, whether it's cancer, sexual assault, whatever it may be. This disassociation can be healthy for a little while until we can get in physical safety. Now, lastly, how do we build the bridge? To the right, you see our Venn diagram. You've seen something similar in a couple of other episodes or lessons, and here we are again. Your allowance of your true self is on one side. Your resistance you give to others is on the other side. Radical acceptance, where your reality meets what you're seeing in your current life, is that overlap. The more you allow of your true self, the more you'll find in your current reality. The more resistance that you are giving yourself because of the opinions of others, the influences others, what other people tell you who you are, is going to leak into your reality. You get to decide how much of a percentage that you find in both of these. All right, so we're still doing the real talk. And I want to really bring up the money equanimity again, and then also some of the real talk when it comes to problem solving. So I'm using the money equanimity because we use the checkbook theory from yesterday, and I feel like sometimes it's easier to talk about abstract things like money instead of personal hard truths and trauma. And some people do have money trauma. So this is why I decided to incorporate it this way. But what I really want to start with saying here is, what will it take for you to accept a new reality? It is very possible to quantum leap into a new reality, and overnight your life can completely change. Some of us may have actually had these experiences, my life included. Your life can change instantly, but it does require a radical acceptance of a new reality, because you have to completely disagree and discard all of your previous belief systems and all of your previous limitations. And most people really have to put a lot of work to get there. So my ask again is, what will it take to accept yourself in a new reality? Real Talk with Air is, there is a way where we can play with our subconscious, have a meeting of the round table to come together with our board of directors. Now, this is a game that I like to play with my clients, and I want to share it with you today because it's something that if you take away this, you can problem solve any obstacle that you're going through in life right now. Your board of directors are actually different versions of who you are. Now, all of these versions come together to be able to help keep you alive, to get you towards your goals, and to keep you happy. Your board of directors sometimes is 2 people, and sometimes it can be 10 people. I personally have 7 board of directors or 7 directors on my board that help me problem solve throughout my life. So one of these directors that we all have very early on is our inner child. Our inner child is responsible for exploration and play and curiosity. Remember when you were 8 years old, or even younger, maybe 4 years old. Remember how you were curious about everything. You learned about different tricks, and you learned different sports, or you learned art, or you wanted to go ask people questions. That who am I was still so young that you had an open mind. You believed that you could become anything your heart desired. An astronaut, a doctor, a mother, whatever your heart desires was, you got to be. So we all have the inner child. And then from there, we have to have the opposite. We have to have the parents. The parent I also call the leader. So no matter how many people you have on your board of directors, you're going to have your child and you're going to have your leader. And this leader is going to be here to serve your higher purpose. I repeat, your higher purpose. Not always what you want, but your higher purpose. For those of us out here that are parents, you get it. You don't just give your child whatever they want, because sometimes it can be dangerous. That is why the leader is in charge. Now from here, you get to divulge into every single aspect of your human concept. So I'm going to give you some examples, and perhaps you're going to identify some of these in yourself, or you might be able to come up with different versions of yourself. So for me, I have an Air, and I call her Detailed Air. Detailed Air dresses up like a secretary. She always has her computer and her clipboard. She has the color-coded calendar. She knows what's going on. She has all of the answers. She's taking notes. She keeps our bank account very steady. She's my Detailed Air. When I need her to help problem solve, she brings me all the facts. Then I have Warrior Air. Warrior Air is here to just protect me. She's a wild woman. She's the woman that's running through the jungle. She knows how to shoot a bow and arrow. She's doing handstands. She can conquer anything, and she's making sure I survive. That's her main goal. Think of Katniss Evergreen. That is the vibe of my Warrior Air. I have Spiritual Air. Spiritual Air is the yogi girl. She's the one that's constantly meditating and checking in with self-care and making sure that she's aligned with her higher purpose. She works very closely with Leader Air to make sure that things get done in a very ethical way and that we are always staying true to ourselves. And then I have Model Air. Model Air comes from a chapter in my life where I felt like I was on like glitz and glam, and I want to feel special, and I want to feel beautiful, and I want to feel important. Some people refer to this as an ego. I call her Model Air just because I have accepted her radically, and I know that she just wants the best for everybody, including all of her board of directors. So Model Air is someone I love very dearly, along with my other directors. Now, I can keep sharing other versions, but then that gets a little too intimate. But this should give you a lot of what it looks like to have a board of directors. So this next activity that we get into, and maybe even an activity that's going to require you to think about it later, is going to be this directors. These people come together for a higher purpose. When you are trying to problem solve something in your life, what I want you to do is to get a piece of paper out, write down your board of directors, visualize them coming to the round table, name the problem, and I want you to ask every single one of them 2 questions. The first question is, how does this make you feel? How does this problem make you feel? I want you to ask the inner child. I want you to ask the spiritual. I want you to ask the leader, whatever it is, but ask everybody. Everyone's going to have a different point of view. And then I want you to ask all of them, if you were the only one in charge of solving this problem, how would you solve it? What's going to happen is when you get through everyone's feelings and you get through everyone's suggestions on how to problem solve it, it's going to become super clear on which strategy or combination of strategies you can use to solve your problems. It is such a beautiful concept. We can use it in money. We can use it in love life. We can use it in in-laws and relationships. We can use it in business, and it will never fail you, even if you're answering the great who am I? So let's wrap up this lesson with giving you the homework and the resources. We're going to play that game together if you're in the live class. If not, feel free to play it out and put it in the WhatsApp group and share it with people to bounce off ideas. And then we do have some reading for us. If anybody wants to dive into it, this is chapter 2. And then on the podcast, we do have the intimacy of belonging as the episode. That is one of my most beautiful episodes that I did with a very dear friend. And we really get into that great who am I, because it has nothing to do with what other people say you are or labels. And then finally, the second episode that we have available is called Energy Flow. And it really gets into the feminine and the masculine and how to marry both of these within ourselves. So without further ado, let's jump in to the next lesson. All right. Welcome back, everybody. So that great who am I got brought up one more time, and it's going to be a reoccurring theme that you're going to have throughout your entire life. So we got to get comfortable with that question. I want to take a few minutes and do the activity with you all. There is a couple of people that I've been able to share with it on the phone. So if they feel brave to help with everybody else, that sounds fantastic. But what we're going to do is break out into breakout rooms. And I want you to discuss with who you're with some of these different versions of yourself that you're going to find as your board of directors. So without, picking and choosing, I'm just going to randomly assign anybody. If you get stuck and you're like, I have no idea, feel free to leave the room and you can come back. But I really challenge you guys to work together, because a great way to figure out the who am I is to explore it with somebody in a very safe space. So let's get into some rooms. And then how many is there? There's 6 of you all. So let's do 3 rooms. And then there we go. Let's sign automatically. And there's going to be 1 room with 3 people. So, ooh, I'm actually going to do this. This will be fun. Okay. So, countdown after 10 seconds. And I'm going to give us 7 minutes on this. So ready, set, and go.
Thank you.
All
What
right.
just happened? Wait, back.
We joined back.
We're all
No,
back.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Nice. A little bit of community there, right? So, and turn
Yeah,
back on
thank
my
you.
camera. So I made sure that we made new friends as well. I was like, So I wanted you guys to be in a place where you didn't have any of those labels, right? Because some of you guys do know each other, and I wanted to make sure that you got to be whoever you wanted to be in this moment. So with that, is there anyone that just had a really awesome experience or a moment and they're like wanting to share with the group, including me, because I wasn't in the rooms?
That I need to find more um board of directors. I still only have 4. I need more.
4 is a good number. Like, and if you're on the younger side, like you're still really learning about yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say my age, but I'm a bit older than you for sure. And I know that I'm still figuring out if I need to add people to my board. And sometimes you only need people for a little while. Like, imagine one day I might be a mother. I'm going to be a mother one day. She's not on my board yet, but when she comes, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. Anyone else?
Well, I thought it was interesting that I found out that I had 4 board of directors, but I didn't know who I was. Because when you asked the question, who am I literally wrote down the 4 things I wrote down would have been actually board of directors, not who I am. So, I thought that was really interesting because I'm not identifying myself to who I am, but I'm more identifying myself to my inner child and my energies and what my spiritual beliefs and stuff. And that's what I identify myself to now, and not the things that I've attached myself to.
I really love that you brought that up because I want to take it just a slight bit deeper and then we'll jump into the next lesson. But that who am I, breaking it down into our board of directors, that allows our subconscious and our consciousness to come together. It's a trick of the mind. And when we do that, we're still kind of labeling ourselves, but it's easier to digest. Because when I said, hey, I have detailed air, and hey, I have spiritual air, and I have warrior air, I'm labeling them, right? And that's very easy for me to conceptualize on my conscious level. But the closer we get to the who am I, that essence is actually found when you ask everybody at the round table how they're feeling. The joy of the inner child or the scaredness of the inner child, that is closer to the who am I of your reality than the actual label of the inner child. So detailed air, her feeling is she makes sure that I feel safe and she feels very much calm in that energy. And that is a aspect of the who am I. So all of them are you all, but it's not their label. It's actually the feelings that they bring into any given moment. So food for thought. I get into that really nitty gritty with one-on-ones, and I get really nitty gritty in the trauma class on like, what does that actually mean? Because we're trying to really break apart things and we go down the rabbit hole a little bit, but it's fun. All right, ladies, since we all are ladies here, I'm going to jump into the next lesson. This one is going to be one of the more sciencey ones if you've been following the flow, but this one is a more social science instead of like physics or chemistry. So as social creatures, we're gonna probably really like this one. So let me share my screen one more time over here. Share. And can everyone or someone give me a yes, I can see the screen?
Yes,
Yes.
I can see it.
Everyone's so vocal. I should have done groups a long time ago. So let's get this one going. Move this little bar. This bar wants to get in the way. All right, so let's get into the polarity manifestation equation whenever it comes to attracting healthy dynamics. Now, when I talk about dynamics, a lot of us want to go into relationships, such as like romance or family or even friendships. But we also need to consider our manifestations and our goals. These are interchangeable right here, depending on your favorite terminology. And then the situations or the experiences that we want to have in our life. This could be a new job. This could be traveling the world. It could be anything that your heart's desire is. Remember, it goes back to the manifestation. Now, when we begin to talk about relationships, we really need to focus on this equation one more time. And I wrote it out for us right here, but you should also have the PDF file because we've seen it a few times. And it's about the desire, the allow, and in reducing the resistance to be able to have our manifestation happen. So remember that we always want to increase our desire. We want to increase our allowance. We want to decrease our resistance. The faster you increase these two, the quicker your manifestation happens. And that makes everybody happy. But resistance is what's going to slow down whatever goal that we're trying to manifest. When it comes to attracting healthy dynamics, the resistance that we experience in our relationships or the people or the goals that we're trying to achieve comes in the form of unhealthy relationships. So unhealthy relationships increase resistance. And if our goal is to have something that's healthy, then we definitely don't want to fall into this trap. Now, we do have some terminology that we need to learn when it comes to what are unhealthy relationships and how do we label them. And a really good way to do this is through a concept that we've been able to recognize as attachment dynamics. Now, in attachment dynamics, we're going to have 3 different ones that are insecure, and then we're going to have the healthy one. We're not going to really focus on the healthy one right now, but to let everyone know, hey, healthy, my text with this is fun. Healthy dynamic is called secure. S-E-U-R-E, secure. This is the goal. This is what makes everybody happy. Perfect. So the insecure, though, is increasing that resistance. So we have 3 different types of insecure relationship dynamics. And to be in a relationship means that you're going to have a combination of these 3 together. So it's going to be very mindful to make sure that you are taking part of your part of the relationship dynamic to be able to attract your goal. Now, the relationship workshop, the 8-week program, will get into this way deeper when it comes to love and family and healing trauma. But for the case of polarity, when it comes to manifestation, you need to recognize that manifestation, this one, as part of your relationship dynamic, is always going to be healthy and secure. So your manifestation, your goal, is always healthy and secure. And this is great for us because if our manifestation is always healthy and secure, this means we only have to worry about ourselves. We only have to take care of ourselves. So our goal is to make sure that we don't fall into one of these insecure dynamics with our manifestation. So an anxious is going to be our first one that we recognize. And this is a dynamic where you're really chasing something or someone. I'm going to draw a person. My person is running after whatever there is. And this anxiety, this anxious personality requires that whatever your goal is, your manifestation, to be running away from you. And you never get to catch it because it's always ahead. This causes a lot of negative emotions, and that negative emotions and negative thoughts we saw earlier in the equation causes the resistance to go up, and therefore this slows down. This goes down. So the next one is going to be avoidant. This one's a little bit easier for some people to conceptualize, and it basically means that you are either running away from your goal, which means your goal's over here and you're going the opposite way, or it means that you're staying still, you're freezing. And whether you're running away or you're freezing, you can't get to your goal. And then finally, we have the last insecure relationship dynamic, and this is anxious avoidant, but it's also called fearful avoidant, disorganized attachment. And this is when you, for lack of better words, you're going in circles. So you might go this way, and then you go this way, and then you turn around and you go back. Sometimes you might even freeze, but you can kind of see we have chaos happening here, and you still have never reached your goal. So with that, we want to make sure that we don't fall in these. And to be able to have the secure relationship over here, that we have secure and secure for both of us, our goal and ourselves, we need to be making sure that we're paying attention to a few of these examples down here. Now, you're going to know yourself way better than I ever will. And in this, I'm giving you examples on how to either increase your allowance or reduce your resistance to get to this goal. So for someone that is very anxious, remember, they're running, and their goal always seems out of reach. They have a lot of anxiety and that negative emotions causing the resistance to go up. To do this, we need to detach. And detachment just means emotional balance. We got to detach our emotions. It doesn't mean that you stop going towards your goal. By all means, you can still keep making movement towards it, but the emotions being chaotic is what causes the resistance to go up. So detaching emotionally increases the allowance and decreases the resistance. The next one is this word that we saw earlier on day 2, and this is equanimity. Equanimity basically means to be calm. When we are very calm, we're okay with where we're at in our present moment, and this allows things to come to us. It's again that emotional balance. So peacefulness, equanimity, your desire will reach you. You don't have to do anything that causes negative emotions to make this go faster. In fact, it's going to slow it down. Finally, or actually 2 more things here. Clarity increases allowance. The more clear you are on your radical acceptance, on your detachment, and your resonance, the things that we saw in the PDF, more clear you are, then that's going to increase your allowance and make yourself more attracted or attractable to your manifestation. Now, finally, we have the healing trauma reduces resistance. This one is critical for anyone that does have these anxious attachment styles. Now, healing comes in a lot of different ways, but it definitely always starts with you. If you have a negative relationship or trauma with somebody in your life, or with men in general, or with women in general, or you don't believe in yourself and you don't think that you are worthy of your goals, and you have a negative relationship due to trauma to where you don't feel like you can be able to achieve something, or if you have a negative relationship or trauma to a place or a situation, then that again is going to increase the resistance and keep you from being able to achieve your goal. So all in all, what we're trying to learn here is that the dynamics of our relationships are going to be really impactful on if we're attracting our goal, increasing our manifestation, or we're actually being frozen, running away from it, or even running in circles. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into the next lesson. Okay. So relationships with ourselves, relationships with others. Having an idea about attachment theory is very much the psychotherapist side. It's very westernized, but sociology is part of our day-to-day. We are always in relationships, whether it's romantic or business or family, and it takes two to tango. So in this particular equation with polarity, we know that we always have the positive person that's on our side. That manifestation is always a secure relationship. They are always going to be there, wanting to see us succeed, ready for us to like have the invitation. So that puts the ball in our court and allows us to kind of be like, okay, am I ready for that to happen? It's very different when you go out into the earthly world and you're engaging with other human beings on a conscious level, because you're not guaranteed to have the secure relationship. Sometimes you're going to meet somebody and it's an anxious relationship and you're anxious and then everything is chaotic, or you're anxious and they're avoidant and you feel like you're always chasing them and they're always running away. Or maybe it's a fearful avoidant and a fearful avoidant, and those relationships end up being very toxic and abusive and damaging to our psyche. So we can have a lot of like peace in the fact that when it comes to manifestation and our goals, that our goals are very secure. They're not changing as far as like, if you want it, it's theirs for the taking. It's just more of a matter of, can we lower this resistance to be able to come in relationship with our goals? So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a break. I know that was a lot of information right up front. So how about we meet back here at 8:15? So that gives us 4 minutes to get some water, to use the restroom, collect, some notes off of what you just saw, or, whatever you need to do. But I will see you at 8:15. All right. Hopefully we were able to grab some water, take a breather. Can I get anyone to tell me out there that they are back?
I'm back.
I'm
I'm
back.
back.
Wonderful.
I'm
Wonderful.
here.
Man,
too.
you're like a sound off. Nice. Perfect. So this last lesson, and yes, it's the last lesson. So you guys have came so far. And for those of you all that have been here every day, I'm super proud of you. This was a lot of content. And this is the lesson where we get to really take on some of that feminine energy and become a magnet for our desires. We've done the hard work, we've done the soul searching, and this is when we get to really play. So I invite you to, put all of the judgments that, society says about us and just be like your full goddess queen self and then in that energy. And then, of course, at the very end, if we want to stick around for a few minutes to answer any questions, I'll stick in the room probably until about like 8:45. So let's do it. Let's get into this last lesson. I'm going to share my screen. And can somebody tell me if they see it?
Magnet of desire.
Magnet of desire. Thank you. So let's get in here. Hi, everyone. So let's dive into being a magnet of your desire. And what does this really mean? This means that we're not chasing anymore. We are attracting energy into our lives. We're attracting, we're persuading, but in a very subtle way. So our learning objectives this go around are going to be deciding, just clearly deciding what you want and going for it. Remember, if it was just instant and we didn't have time in this agreement of our earthly desires, we'd immediately get what we want. But we do have time, and we should be very thankful for that. So for this particular lesson, I want you to start to understand the power of how we influence others. Explore the role of attraction and persuasion of our thoughts and our emotions and our actions within ourselves and how that translates to other people. And then discover methods to connect the sacral energy with your subconscious. So in this particular case, your self-concept is everything. How you treat yourself, how you value yourself, what you think of yourself matters so much when it comes to being a magnet. So when you are going to attract anything, anyone, or any experience that you desire, our goal is to lower the resistance in yourself to accomplish it. Remember, we're going back to that polarity manifestation equation. And become best friends with your subconscious. Remember, that's what yesterday was all about, is aligning your energy of the universe and getting very clear on who you are as a person and your values and your beliefs, and erasing any negative constructs that we have developed about ourselves. And then finally, truth is that you can really declare what you want and it will be yours. The law of the universe says so, but the resistance in our earthly mindset is what we need to be able to support, to heal, to be able to translate and transform. So here it is again, and this is probably again the most important slide that you're going to see in the entire masterclass, is the polarity manifestation equation. We've been over this a few different times, but just to go high summary one more time, is we are increasing our desire, we're increasing our allowing, we are decreasing our resistance, and we equal our manifestation. and manifestations are always positive. So no matter what your desire is, no matter what your want is, you can reach that manifestation by increasing the desire and the allowing and just doing your best to reduce the resistance as much as possible. All right, how to attract power. Now, power people think is such a negative word. When we think of power, we think of abuse, and we need to eliminate that from our subconscious. We need to eliminate that from our belief system. Power is not evil. Power is not bad. Power creates influence, and it also creates our manifestations, and it is what is a driving force towards our goals. If we have a negative relationship with power, then you are automatically hindering yourself in whatever goal you're trying to achieve. So get that out of your mind. Power is a good thing. When people abuse power, that's a different conversation. But power itself has no negative connotations. So when we are trying to attract power into our existence and being able to attract whatever our goal is, there's a few different tricks or applications is probably a better way to say this, to increase our power. And when we're increasing our power, we are increasing our desire, and we are increasing our allowance to be able to get to that manifestation goal. So how do we do that, Air, right? To be able to increase power, we want to be able to control ourselves. Everything has to do with you, no one else. Remember, your subconscious runs the show, and your subconscious only believes in you. It doesn't know anyone else or anything else exists except for you. So whenever we are going to control our emotions and be able to understand how they incorporate with each other, how they make this blend of beautiful manifestation and goal power, we want to calm down. We want to center ourselves. We want to ground ourselves. To do this, we have some applications. For instance, walk slow. I know that some of us are notoriously late, and those individuals, we need to have a different type of conversation. But walking slow doesn't just mean physically slow. It means when you approach something new and you are trying to decide if it's the best quality for you, it's the best decision, it's the best manifestation for you, you want to walk slowly towards that. You don't want to be in a rush. You make mistakes. You lose your power, you lose your control. So walk slow. If you meet somebody new in your life and you get super excited about them, they seem like they have the answer to everything, or they seem like the love of your life, I encourage you, I highly encourage you to walk slow. Again, here's another way that we can walk slow, is to never respond quickly. This could be in a romantic setting, but this is also really important for things like business. Whenever you make hasty decisions, you are taking away from your power because you're letting your emotions be able to cultivate what's happening next. And most of the time, when we respond quickly, it is more out of fear and less out of motivation. Now, you might be like, oh, but what about that girl that I'm crushing on, or that guy that I'm crushing on? I don't want them to forget me. Well, power is attraction, and attraction is built up in powerful situations. If you want to be a power couple, and that doesn't necessarily mean to be rich, but it means to be dynamic, it means to be healthy, it means to be able to stay together, right? And that does require a certain level of equanimity or calmness that is not going to make you respond quickly. And then to flip the equation when it comes to this is never regret who left you. This is so important. I have to relate this to parents. If you were abandoned by a parent, or if you were abandoned by an ex-lover, or if you were, betrayed by a friend, or who left you. Maybe it was a job opportunity, maybe it was a business opportunity or a business partner. Whatever left you is not keeping you from your overall manifestation. Manifestations work like train cars. They add up slowly together. Even though you may not feel like it was a positive experience, it is a positive manifestation always. Positive manifestations are part of the laws, the spiritual laws, as well as the subconscious laws. All manifestations are positive to get you to your overall goal, even if the situation looked bleak or dry. All right, here's another one. This is really good whenever you're building up relationships, and then also whenever you're trying to understand the concept of power. I invite you to talk last and listen first. Let's say you are at a table with people and they're sharing their ideas. Let's say it's a board meeting, or let's say it's a family meeting. When you talk last, you gain a lot of power and a lot of attraction really quickly because you've been able to listen to everyone else's point of view first. This means that you have more information to work with. And this means that you are pretty much the smartest at the table currently because you've taken the time to be patient, to be accountable for yourself, to hold your tongue, and to listen. And that is a very powerful thing to do. And is very attractive for other people and other situations. Okay, here's one that could be hard for some of us out there. Speak less about yourself. I understand what you're thinking. You're thinking, Air, you just said the subconscious is only thinking about me. I'm the only one in the world. This is true, but we don't just have our subconscious. We also have our conscious. And when you speak less about yourself to other people that only register themselves, you become in a very powerful, attractive position because their subconscious is looking at you and seeing the validation. It's feeling the validation. And remember, the subconscious activates through feelings, and it either feels safe or it feels unsafe. So when you feel safe with somebody and you're trying to attract them into your energy, trying to help them see your goals and your manifestation, speaking less about yourself and inviting more conversation about your goals or themselves is going to be so critical for attraction. Next, refrain from emotional displays. Look, if you are a woman in this class, we know that we are very emotionally intelligent. If you are a man in this class, you probably run away from emotional displays a majority of the time. That's okay. If you flip those roles and you feel like you're very emotionally intelligent, awesome, you're there. Or if you feel like you're a very passionate person and it can be really hard for you to contain your emotions sometimes, this is an invitation to see if you can go on the playground with yourself and practice this idea of attraction and power. When you refrain from emotional displays, you are bringing in calmness. And remember, if there is calmness in the dynamic that you're trying to display, you're going to manifest quicker because you're going to make everybody's subconscious feel safe, and including your own subconscious feel safe. Because when you get loud, when you get passionate, when you are crying your eyes out, and I have been there, I've been on the floor crying my eyes out. When you do that, your subconscious says, oh no, danger, what's happening? So to be able to have the accountability of controlling your emotions here is super powerful. And then finally, this kind of tags on to everything we just mentioned, is to be calm in every situation. Now, I'm not calm right now. I'm presenting to you guys. I'm dynamic right now. I want you guys to hear me loud and clear, but I'm not trying to cultivate power right now. I'm not trying to attract you right now. I'm trying to share a message, hoping that you guys can hear it and listen to it and be able to digest it very clearly. but I am calm in the sense of I'm very grounded in my energy. I'm very much centered. What I'm saying, I know I mean, and I know it works. And that is where power can also come into play. So as you are walking through the next few days, because this is our last day together, I want you to really see how often do you apply these different principles into your life whenever you are feeling weak or unheard or unseen, because these are going to really flick the dynamics on your self-concept if it is a negative self-concept. So let's keep going. We want to actually start to bring everything together from the past 3 days. And I want to invite you into something new and into something I am super excited and passionate about. And probably by the time you hear about it, it won't be new anymore. But every single relationship that I get to build with you all feels like a new relationship. And I am so honored to be able to share this with you. I want to help reframe the relationships in your life. Whether you want to say they're business relationships, family relationships, or romantic relationships, I am here for you. This is why I study psychotherapy. This is why I'm so into spirituality. This is why I get up in the morning every single day and I talk with clients and I talk with different people in my life about their relationships, because I am someone that has been through the ringer when it comes to relationships. I've had to overcome childhood trauma. I've had to overcome slavery. I've had to overcome toxic and abusive relationships. And I've been able to take everything I've learned in school, everything I've learned in Western medicine, everything I've learned in Eastern medicine, and everything I've learned in my personal experiences and the experiences of the people in my life, and build this program. The relationship program is here to break toxic cycles. If you find yourself in the same toxic relationship with a new face, this is for you. If you are somebody that is very anxious in your relationships, or you feel like you run away from emotions, or you feel like you just cannot attract the right person into your life, this is for you. And finally, if you are somebody that's like, whoa, I have poured so much into other people, I've done so much people pleasing, I've done so much self-abandonment, and I just want to get spoiled. I want to see the other side of the rainbow. I want to get adored. I want to attract my perfect relationship, and I want to spoil them, adore them, and attract again that perfect relationship. This relationship course program is for you. And with that, I would just want to give you a little bit of the dynamics, a little bit of the logistics when it comes to it, because it is a lot longer than our masterclass. It's an 8-week course where we actually meet once a week. You're going to be included in the community, similar to the community we have for the Polar Masterclass or the For the Fellas Masterclass, or even the Trauma Masterclass. And then you're going to get lifelong support. So I'm a big person of, let's get you to your goals. If you are trying to attract that relationship, then why would I want to abandon you if you go in a relationship and you're there for 2 years and it's perfect and it's amazing and you learn from it and it's everything it needed to be in that moment, but then you find yourself on the other side of the rainbow again, single, and then also healing, working towards that next relationship. I want to be with you guys through the journey. I want to see you succeed through the journey. So it's not just 8 weeks and then goodbye. It's 8 weeks. Let's work together, build the foundation, see you succeed. And then if you need me in the future, or you need somebody to help support a question, we have that community for you. This is something a little bit special that I do for people that have enrolled in one of our previous master classes. If you've been in the Polarity Masterclass, or you have been in the For the Fellas Art of Attraction Masterclass, if you have been in the Trauma Masterclass, then I'm going to offer this to you. If you will enroll within the next 24 hours after purchasing or concluding your masterclass, and it's concluding if you did a live one like this one, if you enroll in the relationship program, I will literally cut it in half for you, because I can see that you're doing the work and I want to be part of that journey for you. I love accountability. I love people that are taking charge of their lives. I love people that are ready to attract their dreams and their goals. And this is an opportunity where I really just get to be happy and know that we are making a difference in the world and we are accomplishing all of our relationship goals. So again, this is not just for romance. This is for families. This is for mother-daughter type of relationships. This is for father-son relationships. This is for business relationships. This is for friendships. If you feel alone and you're trying to make more friends. And this could be just good for you to build the relationship that you have with yourself, or even a relationship with something else. For instance, like money or stability or anything else. Everything in life is a relationship, and this is why this program is perfect. All right, I'm gonna wrap up tonight because it has been a very, very fun 3 days. But if you are like me, you're probably like, a lot of information. I need to go and process this. I need to apply this to my life. I am so excited that we do have that WhatsApp group, because that means we get updates and we get to ask questions and we get to revisit concepts. So again, you have that forever. So keep it, use it. You have a whole group of people that are just like you, including myself, growing in this journey. And I am shameless here because I know my self-concept. I've had the work with my subconscious. I've done the spiritual work. I've worked through my trauma. I've radically accepted myself, and I've learned the polarity manifestation equation to an art and a science. And this is why I am shameless, because I have taught you guys all of these things the last 3 days, every single one. And not only those, but others. So I invite you to go and do a review. Send me your review. Email it to me, text it to me, Instagram me, WhatsApp it, whatever we got to do to be able to get that review, because those actually make a huge difference in growing this masterclass. It makes a huge difference to me because it lets me know what I can do better and how I can grow and how I can perform better for you guys and how I can make sure that I show up in the best possible way every single time. So please, do a review, send me a review. Tell me what key concepts really stuck out to you. Tell me, what did you learn? What did you want to learn more of? And then why do you think somebody needs to know about polarity? Why would you invite your girlfriend or your guy friend or your mom or your sister or, your ex-lover and be like, you've got to learn about this? Because it's going to add so much value. And with that, I am super thankful that you took the time to invest in yourself. This art of polarity, the law of polarity, being able to manifest whatever your heart's desire is, no matter where you come from, it's such a powerful thing. And from the bottom of my heart, I do believe that we are all survivors of something, but we are not going to be survivors forever. We get to be thrivers. And on that note, just like I sign off on the Who Am I podcast, I'm going to sign off on this message. Thank you for growing and healing with me today. Woo! That's my energy, ladies. Oh, it looks like everyone's still here. So we have about 5 more minutes. If anyone has any questions about what we covered over the last 3 days, or has a question that came to mind that they just want to share on their hearts.
I would love to know more about that relationship course, as far as the how we can sign up for that, or what's the cost of it.
So the signing up, that one's easy. We can send you the link, Janelle. And
Okay.
overall, the course is both live and then there's also lessons. So you saw throughout today that there were some things that were pre-recorded. And I am somebody, I want to give you as much information and you choose what really resonates with you. So you'll have different lessons throughout the course that you can like click onto the episodes or the activities, kind of like the board of directors. So the overall course is 2,200, and then cut it in half for the 50%. So that makes it, I feel like if I do the math, over 2 months, this is one of my things where detailed air gets into the logistics. So 2,200 divided in half, that 1,100, and then divided by the 8 weeks, that's like $137 a week. And so that includes all the live, all the support, and all the resources. So
Okay.
yeah. Ooh, any questions about polarity that we want to share? Any thoughts? Comments?
I have a question. So the course was amazing. Thank you so much. But I just want to have a review on implicit association. I feel like that's where I had the most confusion during the class. So just if you can review that for me.
Of course.
Thank you.
So sounds like I'm echoing. Feel like I'm good now, right? Okay. So implicit association. So we have something in our neuroanatomy that helps our brain create shortcuts. So shortcuts are what makes it very easy for us to be able to walk through the day without having to relearn things over and over. So imagine if you had to wake up every single day and remember that you live in your house. And then you have to remember how to get out of bed. And then you have to remember how to brush your teeth and how to get to your school or to your work. And you're having to relearn these things as if they were brand new information. Well, if you did that every single day, it would take you 40 minutes to get from out of bed to your job. Or not even out of bed to your job, but out of bed to brushing your teeth, because you'll have to relearn what it means to have teeth and what it means to travel throughout, your house. So implicit association is kind of like our memory bank, and it lets us think of all the things we already know. Like, you already know your sister's names. You don't have to go relearn your sister's names. You already know the address that you live at. You already know how to brush your teeth, or let's say you're in a profession. You already know your profession. So you don't have to go to school for it again. So that's implicit association. Now, when we had that lesson, we also had what was called confirmation bias. And that might have been where you got hung up. Confirmation bias is under the umbrella of implicit association. So implicit association is the shortcut. Confirmation bias is the stereotypes that we've been able to figure out throughout our living and our life that help us group things together. So confirmation bias could go like, okay, red, blue, purple, elephant. Well, when you look at those, you go, one of these doesn't fit. And your confirmation bias is going to say, I know that I need to mind group or put together the ones that are colors. And my shortcut is the implicit association. Now, as different cultures come together, they have a group of association bias or implicit association bias and confirmation bias where we automatically group things together. So the study that we had an example of was they had a group of people and they affiliated what was good and what was bad when it came to daylight and darkness, and then the colors black, like the actual color black, and the actual color white. And what they found in this study is when people were thinking of daylight, they had a confirmation bias that that was a good thing, versus when they were thinking of nighttime, they had a confirmation bias of that's a bad thing. Now, this is how we break down these things to help develop our behaviors and our thought processes. Not all confirmation biases are good confirmation biases. For example, Racism, I would say, is a bad confirmation bias. I would say that everyone is equal and that you can't judge people based off of their physical skin appearance. That's not fair. But we do have a society that does have some confirmation biases when it comes to this subject. Now, the good thing is that we can overcome our confirmation biases and our shortcuts by slowing down and working with our subconscious to unprogram some of these negative patterns. And that's what I meant when we were going over like different types of associations and being able to become friends with our subconscious. Is that kind of clear enough?
Yes, thank you.
My pleasure. I get nerdy about this stuff, guys. So we're at 8:45, but if somebody has one more question, I will stay in the room for a little bit longer. All right, that makes me feel good. That means I did my job. So just to bring us all home, everybody will receive the recordings. It will be on Tuesday, and it will be via a link that gets put in both the group chat as well as the email directly to you. With this link, you'll have access for 30 days and revisit, explore, ask questions in the group. I'm going to be there. Everyone that's in this masterclass as well as the other master classes will be in there. So you're not alone is the key point there. And then if you're interested in the relationship program, like we can definitely talk about that more. Or if you have feedback, remember, I'm really asking you guys to give me your review, give me your thoughts, tell me what you want to learn more about. And as we build this out and we have, new live master classes and things get better and better, I'll be able to share that with you guys, whether it was the first class or the 100th class. And that's, healing and growing. So other than that, ladies, I'm just proud of you guys. That's all I have. And so I will call it a night for us. You guys have all been fantastic. And as always, thank you for healing and growing with me today.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Erin.
Guys,
Thank you so much.
have a beautiful night.
You too.
Mhm.